So the hardware which is being used in this demonstration is this notebook, which is connected to an Ethernet switch, and through this Ethernet switch another computer is connected, which is a bit-identified computer supposed to be, and then we have a hardware which is an FPGA board and an SSD drive, and this computer has no internal drive connected, but instead this SSD drive is used as a booting source, which is also describable over here. And then this is the display of this computer. So now in the next step I like to describe the storage areas which are on the hardware level. So we have three different storage areas. One is system storage, which is used for operating system protection and operating system temporary modifications, and the other is secure storage, which is used for keeping the secure data and keeping the secure data of the server and the secure data of the client both. And then we have third storage, which is open storage. This is being used for using the computer in the internet mode, because this computer has two different modes. One is the internet mode and the other one is the intranet mode, which is the secure mode as well. So in the internet mode, this drive is not accessible and neither visible at that time, and this drive is read and write possible at that time to be used the computer as a normal computer. But in the intranet mode, this drive is visible and accessible, and data can be moved between the server and the client, and the server, which is like a bit-identified server or a secure server. And at that moment, this drive is a write protected drive by the hardware, so no data can get into a internet drive to be transferred over the internet. But when it's in the internet mode, then this data is not possible to get into or to get out of from this drive. So this completes the first part of the demonstration, that I could describe all the hardware, and temporarily we have used this computer as a demonstration computer, while this is supposed to be a bit-identified computer. The second part of demonstration will be describing that how this technique has been used for prevention of the data being stolen from the secure drive. So in this part, I will be showing at first that this computer has a secure drive accessible on this computer when this computer was in intranet mode. But when I will switch this computer to internet mode, then this drive will disappear and I will not have any access of this drive onto this computer. So at first I will giving the path and will be, see, I have a D drive shared, and then I have a document which is bit-identified Sweden AB. And if I see or try to see the same data in the D drive, then I will be able to see that I have the similar data over here as well. So now I plan to reboot this computer into the internet mode, and then I will be looking on to if this data which was accessible a while ago is still accessible or no. So as I had described before, that temporarily for this demonstration purpose I am sending commands from a different computer, but in the product it will be done with a switch. So now I have started up the computer, into a mode when I am expecting that I should not have a secure drive visible at all, and this mode is called internet mode. And on the physical level, what happens here on this logic, that a hardware shield is being provided on the secure drive so that the data which is protected is not accessible at all. So now we can see that I don't have that drive which was there before, which is called as secure storage, and no computer is connected to the internet, so user can connect to the internet and can get the data from the internet on this drive and can do whatever he likes to do in the internet mode. But when I try to get a connection in this with this computer in the same way, which you can see on this notebook, that I don't have the connection possible, and on this computer the drive which was accessible through this Ethernet switch is not accessible at all, because for the Ethernet connection this computer has two different connections. One is for internet and one is for intranet. So this completes the second part of the demonstration, that how the data is being protected when the computer is connected to the internet. And in the third part of demonstration, I plan to explain that between these two different modes, it is not possible to have any effects or rootkits or trojans or viruses on the operating system stored, because whenever there is a mode switch, a hacker can get into the computer through the internet mode and infect the operating system. But when the mode will be switched, then the infections on the operating system, which are even like a temporary infections or temporary files modifications, are wiped out during that restart. So now I have started this computer into the so-called user mode, that the user can use the computer like a normal computer, and he can do the modifications very accordingly like a hacker or like a normal user. So in this part I will be doing some changes on the operating system, and then after doing these modifications I will be showing that after a restart these changes are wiped out, which shows that the operating system is completely hardware based protected. So I have this clean copy of, let's say, clean copy of operating system, and I plan to do some modifications like changing the wallpaper on the desktop, and then I will be installing some applications like Firefox setup, Mozilla Firefox application that I have installed so far. And then I have another application which is for the partitions of the drives, but just to be sure I will install these as well. So now I can say that I have a different application of Mozilla Firefox on the computer and a different application of Partition Master, and then background wallpaper has been changed. I can create another modification like a text file and keeping some text in it and then see if the text is there. Yes, it is there. And now when I will restart this computer, which is somewhat similar to switching the mode from internet to intranet or intranet to internet, then these modifications will be wiped out. So this computer is again restarted, and we are expecting that now the copy of operating system will be again the same fresh copy of operating system. And whenever the user wants to make some actual modifications on the operating system, then he needs to go into the administration mode, which is provided with a different switch on the product, and then he can do the installations which will be really on the hardware and physically on the operating system. But otherwise, this operating system as a facility provided to the user will be only temporary operating system that is not modifiable physically at all. And now we can see that I again have the same clean copy of operating system. So this completes the third part of the demonstration. So it shows, I think, the whole concept that how an intruder cannot get into the computer.